Nature's twists and turns create creatures that are hard to believe in. Today we'll again watch unique creatures across the globe. Let's go. The volcanic island Milos is a crucial stopover for migratory birds heading to Africa. Old snakes have settled here. There aren't many streams, the birds need water from them, and snakes need birds. They know where to wait. The sad part is many snakes can't be seen until their shadows move. They have good camouflage. The red snakes too don't miss out. Young birds have never seen them, they are careless, and that costs them their lives. Then there's another little island, Shidao, in China. Shidao means Snake Island. It's filled with snakes, 20,000 of them. They all survive here because of migratory birds. The snakes are inactive for the rest of the year. They starve, sleep, but when the birds swarm the island, they get busy. They have limited time to feed enough for half a year later. At dawn, snakes look for the best perch. Even a modest branch will do. 20,000 traps lie in wait for songbirds. Snakes wait, coiled up, ready to strike. Snap! A victim is caught. One bird is not enough. They continue hunting until they catch 2 or 3 more. For 2 weeks, snakes hunt daily. Snake Island is the last place birds should visit, but luckily for the snakes, they don't understand that. Let's move to the harsh Andes Mountains. Here in Peru live spectacled bears. They love maximum comfort. They're the only kind of bear in South America. In the Andes, it might not rain for 8 months. This is the only spring for miles, a green oasis. A bear can relax here all day, but after a rest, it needs a good sleep. These bears prefer to sleep in comfort. They do something other bears don't. They climb trees, break many branches, and make a real bed for themselves. It's a bit cooler on the tree than the ground. The bear likes it. Finally, we can sleep, pretty much like with an AC, comfortably. This mineral source in Sulawesi Island dense forest attracts many creatures. Every day, Babirusa pigs come out of the forest in groups of 10. Soon a crowd gathers. It annoys local monkeys. The male Babirusa looks strange. You might think its horns are weird, but no, they're tusks. Males have tusks growing through the upper palate. They're descendants of ancient pigs that came here from Asia. After the island separated from the mainland in isolation, they've evolved a lot on Sulawesi. Local people once jokingly used to believe they use their odd tusks. Tusks for hanging on branches when sleeping. No other explanation since they don't use tusks for fighting. Instead, male Babirusas box standing up on 2 legs. It looks as weird as their tusks. They usually stand up to reach leaves in the forest, like deer. Their name Babirusa comes from pig and deer, and like deer, males compete. Tusks also used like horns. Japanese tree-boring ants are excited due to irritating flies called humpbacks. Smallest fly but always around ants, humpbacks tailing ants. One lands on an ant and then takes off, but you think, so what? Here's what. Ant goes in anthill and soon weird things start happening. 5 days later. You can tell something's up, he's not feeling right. Another ant tries to help with no luck. 7 hours into symptoms. Ant's head falls off, then he strolls around headless for 12 hours. Alive, but in a zombified state. Here's what it means. The fly that landed 5 days ago sealed his fate. The fly laid an egg in its tail, a parasite starts eating from inside. Turning host into a zombie, head falls off a humpback to leave ant's body. It's called zombie fly. Flies in the detached head till it comes out. If you think after head detaches, the fly is in remaining body, nope. It's in the severed head and emerges from there. Another colony had it worse, dozens of ant heads, flies coming out. Herd of mountain goats, known worldwide for living on nearly vertical slopes. They climb rocks not just for food and safety, but also for minerals. Like famous video of goats climbing dam for salt. That's an example. Such case indeed. Locally, salts are rare, so goats perform such tricks for salt, but what about the young ones who can't climb such steep slopes? This one climbs the dam for the first time. Must follow mom. Fall equals death. The higher it climbs, the more vertical the wall, all depending on its ability, soft bouncy. Soles can grip even the smallest ledges, get stuck between hard parts of hoof, balancing on edge. Struggle between life and death, pretty tiresome for a baby, gets tired fast with no rest. Can't rest else will fall and die, yet can't stand anymore, what to do? Mama comes to help, she props him up, gives time to rest, propping up it sleeps. Ze emu delat ke nemu na pomoście prikodit mat, ona podbiraje tego, dawaya emu vremia. Straight up a vertical wall, crazy. After a little nap, they continue walking until they're 50 meters high. They crave the salt in the concrete brought out by seeping water. This salt is really key for the little goat's growth. But there are predators like eagles that take advantage of the goats climbing high. They're really grateful that goats climb high, it makes their job way easier. The eagle attacks the little goat, grabs it, drags it to a cliff and just drops it. This is done so the prey doesn't fight back, dying instantly when it falls. Their hungry kids are always hungry, so the parents have no time to rest. They need to keep dropping goats off cliffs. Sometimes, eagles really have to sweat to drag a resisting goat to the edge. It's risky. If an eagle damages its wing, it's done for, but they have to take the risk or they won't find enough food here. And the little goat falls again, facing its end. On New Zealand's White Island, it gets really hot at noon, and the gulls are literally dying from the heat. Panting doesn't help, but it dehydrates them, even though they're surrounded by cool sea. The adults have found a genius hack to cool down their kids. They dive for cool, wet seaweed and press it against their overheated chicks. A total lifesaver. Moving to Australia, where Dawson's bees, some of the biggest and craziest bees, dig holes in the ground. Not many flowers here, so the bee colonies are small and scattered. The bees dig holes for their offspring. Despite living peacefully, mass murder is happening in the community. Right now it's peaceful because it's all females. The murderers' males are all dead, they killed each other. All this started 2 months ago before females showed up. These are Dawson's male bees. Females are just surfacing one after another, making their way out of the nest they grew up in. Their scent drives males crazy. They're huge and built for fighting. Each one wants the best spot to mate. The female has just grown up but is already in the thick of things. Thirsty males attack her, tear her apart, and she loses her head. While fights over other females take place, males brutally kill each other. By the time the last female leaves the nest, all males are already dead. This battle royale results in only the strongest males fertilizing most females before dying bravely. 2 months later, a new generation of females is growing up in the burrows, ready to continue the bloody cycle. Speaking of that, talking about Australian animals, we gotta mention their main beast, the kangaroo. Their pouches are homes to joeys who have it easy, but I've always wondered how secure is the pouch. Can a joey fall out if, say, mama kangaroo runs from a predator? They have to run quite a bit. Dingoes, their arch enemies, chase them around these parts. Humans introduced them here 3,500 years back, and they have been hunting kangaroos since. Now these marsupials always got to be on guard. Seeing a threat, the kids go hide in pouches. Dingo chases kangaroo, picking off the slow ones. One mama falls behind the herd with her heavy pouch. The hunters get close, and she picks up top speed that a pouch can handle and causing the joey to be jostled out. It tries to hang on tight, but the jostling's too much and it falls out, suddenly realizing kangaroo pouch ain't a foolproof home after all. The dingoes quickly pounce on the poor thing. Damn it, desert. World's oldest desert. It's noon now, so hell of a hot, and creatures try to escape the heat, burrowing in sand. But Seotera spider found another way. To dodge the scorching sun, it can withstand higher temps than other spiders, up to 50 degrees, but as it gets hotter, the spider quickly weaves a sand blanket to hide from the heat. Then it settles under its blanket and waits. An unlucky ant steps on it. That means it's doomed. Vibrations travel directly via silk threads to the spider. It's too hot to come out, so the spider pulls the prey in under the blanket to its den to rest forever. Already told you about this spider, but now there's new info. So he deserves attention again. This crab spider uses its disguise to trap and eat bugs who come to pollinate the flower. Now it's found that bees visit flowers with this spider 3 times more often than without it. How's that possible? If you look at flowers under UV light, you can see some dark areas on the petal. These mark the landing lines for bees, guiding them to nectar. Plants want guaranteed pollination, but the spider uses these signals as shown by a special camera. The spider reflects UV light. It becomes even more noticeable sitting on the flower. This bright glows a super signal against which a bee can't resist, and the spider takes full advantage. Arctic Ocean is at the very top of North Hemisphere. In winter, ice covers almost 11 million square kilometers, but off Russian Arctic shores, a small corner of water doesn't freeze. 30 belugas trapped here keeps it ice-free. These 4-meter northern whales are trapped because they need to surface for air every 15 minutes. They're mammals after all. The issue is within a 30-kilometer radius, it's all ice-covered, so they can't really. Otherwise, they'll suffocate. But there's no fish or squid left, nothing to eat. They've eaten everything around this air oasis and now they're starving, but they can't swim away or they'll die. This winter is colder than ever, and belugas don't know what to do. The only hope is a season change. Best of luck to them. America's Sonoran Desert is hard to live in, covered in cacti, but one critter figured a way to use this. The thing is, lots of predators here are armed with claws or poison. It's tough surviving here, let alone breeding, so cactus spines can come in handy. The desert hamster female gathers dry cactus balls, forming an impenetrable fortress. This hamster specializes in cactus work and can patch any gap. There are endless spiny balls here as cacti drop them in bulk for reproduction. The hamster's fortified burrows make predators' life hard, as not only hamsters but other small critters hide in this spiky castle from chase. Plus, hamsters also eat these cacti, double whammy. The Mekong River in Southeast Asia is low on oxygen, but the Siamese fighting fish found a cunning workaround. The male breathes in air from the surface and uses this while reproducing to create a fruit of bubbles. He works day to day, female waiting nearby rises to check the fruit. This time she seems pleased. They intertwine and she starts laying eggs. As the eggs descend, the male fertilizes them, then they both gently collect the eggs, blowing them one by one into their bubble nest. In still, oxygen-deprived water, the eggs get enough oxygen to develop. Genius problem solving. Meet an amazing creature, the pond snail. It slides on a water film on the inside due to its surface tension. It's really something. I've shown you a bug that similarly walks on water on its back. Turns out some snails can do it too. These are a colony of lascius ants, living in rotten wood, killing everything in their way. But this warehouse moth larva is an exception. It lives in a self-made shell, safely among ants without being eaten. Her cover has 2 holes. Depending on the situation, she can choose to peek out and move from that side. She moves by gripping with her strong jaws. These ants have strong acid, attacking anyone crossing their turf. But they can't touch the warehouse moth. She's safe and sound. Why is it scratch-free? The larva's pretty smart, stays cool surrounded by ants and runs when the time's right. It's pretty agile too. Whenever an ant gets close, it dives into its shell. Unaware, it parasites ant colonies for protection. Ant waste serves as food, but sometimes it gets something more valuable and peacefully munches on under its shell. There are stunning bodies of water on our planet filled with tiny bioluminescent organisms. Any touch or ripple, even a boat or walking near the shore, makes it glow. In these bioluminescent waters, even a crab's breath can't go unnoticed, attracting unwanted attention. But there's a crustacean that uses this glow as a weapon. The ostracods, a tasty meal for this fish, or so it thinks. The fish spits it out, can't handle this prey. Ostracods carry a cocktail of unstable substances. On predator attack, they mix and create a bioluminescent flash, brighter than a lantern. Ostracods can flash 10 times. The taste is so nasty fish spit them out. Their escape plan is even more brilliant. The flash blinds fish and gives them away. The fish loses sight for a bit, but in return is an easy target, typically dangerous. There's always a bigger fish in the sea. Interesting scene in the reeds. Someone bent a cane just right. Lots of cane leaves bent, forming a pocket. Purseweb spiders architect these unique homes. Great home, no bricks needed. Cool design lets them build fast. Edges perfectly measured, like the spider's got a tape measure. The female covers her eggs with web and wraps them thousands of times. Thanks to Mum's work, eggs can grow safely. Mum stands guard all day, starving herself in case of predator attack. Thanks to Mum's care, the eggs start to hatch. There's already a lot of spiderlings scurrying inside the web. Purseweb spiderlings burst out of the web sac. Thanks to Mom's care, a lot of spiderlings hatch safely. From birth, they've got to fight for survival. They need to eat, but can't hunt yet. So how do they survive? Simple. Mom lets her hungry kids eat her alive. She lets them feed until she's dry. Purseweb female sacrifices herself, giving her offspring the best start. After they eat their mum, spiderlings leave their home and scatter. Steodatus spiderlings are born with around 200 siblings you wouldn't want to be related to. These babies are already eyeballing each other. They're cannibals and attack their own. They eat their siblings after they're born. Not all want to be in this family feast. The female tries to get away as fast as possible. But there's a tiny problem. All the other spiders have the same plan as her. Her path ends, it's a dead end, her hungry brothers are closing in, but this little one has incredible skills to make a great escape. She releases negatively charged silk into the positively charged atmosphere. The opposites attract and pull her up. She uses physics, flies high, then the wind takes her, and now she can cross thousands of kilometers. With these flights, they colonized every corner of the Earth. At the mercy of the wind, she can't choose where to land and accidentally lands on water, but she weighs less than a grain of sand and doesn't sink. She releases her magical silken water skis to safety until she finally finds something to hold on to. This will be her new home. This is a savanna pangolin, reminds of an armadillo, but they're not related fully armored mammal. A third of this female's mass is armor, eats up to 200,000 ants a day. Has another level of protection beyond armor. Even if big cats try to attack, it releases a stinky fluid from anal glands to scare enemies. Though it already smells bad, you'll understand why now. The animal found what it was looking for. Fresh excrements of new antelope. Pangolins love to bathe in dung. Gnu and zebra, possibly to kill parasites or perhaps its personal perfume. And so, after applying this strange perfume, it goes to sleep. Frozen forest of Canada. Winter here lasts half the year. The frozen ground hides the most northern turtles on Earth, painted turtles. They're in their special space, hatched last autumn, but mostly not one of them has moved much. They were instantly frozen by the harsh winter. Now they're dead. But for some animals, death is a temporary thing. Painted turtles are underground and waiting for the most important moment, arrival of spring. In April, the warmth of the sun triggers changes. Turtles' body temperature rises above freezing and their hearts start beating again. Slowly they come back to life. Thanks to their organism's superpowers, these turtles have a decent advantage in spring. They're first out in the forest, getting a chance to enjoy all the fresh forest plants. Let's move to the forests of Germany. They've been hiding away their food below ground. This squirrel's hard at work and time's ticking. But it's been noticed. Someone else is watching, someone who's also looking for food. The sly thief, a jaybird, also needs to prepare for winter, but she's too lazy to look for nuts. Easier to steal them, just has to watch the squirrels. But the squirrel is smart and creates fake hiding spots. The bird finds nothing, but she's tough and quickly finds another and steals some nuts. The squirrel can't catch the thief in time. The jungles of Papua New Guinea and northern Australia have a lot of bird performers. This male bird of paradise has dedicated his life to the art of flirting. Right now, he's doing his flashy dance for a female, trying to charm her. Only problem is, it's not a female, it's a young male who looks different. Young males pretend to be females to learn from more experienced ones. That's the point. To learn this complicated dance, it takes about 5 years, and young males won't carry on their line without learning. When the dancing male realizes who's really in front of him, dance lessons are over. The grown male ignores the imposter no matter what he says. There's an ant colony that lives in fallen acorns. There are hundreds in each one. They're tiny so they can live in these small homes. The acorn seems like a solid home, but living inside food isn't the best idea. Giants roam the city, wild turkeys, ants need to hold onto their larvae tightly, it could get shaky. The acorn house is solid and it can roll. The entire life of these ants entirely depends on these beetles, the oak weevil. Without them, there wouldn't be these ants. Oak weevils climb onto the acorns before they ripen, but they don't eat them. They need the acorns for their offspring. Weevil can only drill into unripe acorns. After it makes a hole, it lays exactly one egg, then moves to others to do the same. When the acorns ripen, they fall and squirrels start collecting them, but there are a lot of empty ones which the squirrels don't want. The acorns are empty because of the oak weevil that laid its eggs in them. The larvae have gotten quite big and now it's time to get out. After they've crawled away, the empty acorns, as we know, have another use. Without the weevils making holes in the acorns, the ants couldn't live in them. The ants themselves can't make such holes. In a previous video, I talked about Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean, home to hordes of forest crabs, tens of millions of them. These crabs are the island's main highlight. Tourists come just to watch them parade. Sadly, these creatures have begun to die off here in numbers. In recent years, millions of red crabs don't reach the sea because the island was overrun by invader yellow crazy ants. These ants earned their name and were accidentally introduced on ships. With no predators, they've created huge super colonies in the forest. When migrating red crabs cross their territory, the ants attack, injecting formic acid into the crabs' eyes and mouths. Blinded and confused, the crabs are doomed. This isolated crab community had peacefully lived on this island for millions of years. But now, because of human error introducing the ants, in a short time, 30 million crabs were killed. Now, instead of 80 million, there are only 50 million left on the island.
About 80% of animals, extinct because of humans, were island animals. The perpetually hungry ants tear the crabs apart and take them to their nest. The network of roads across the island isn't exactly helping these animals either. Crabs aren't against eating their own squashed pals. People try to help crabs cross the roads, stopping traffic on some during migration. Local folks even built special bridges so crabs can cross busy roads at their own pace. Underground crossings have also been created. The crabs trek all this way to reach the water and lay eggs, but they're terrified of the water because a wave can easily tear a crab to pieces. This is what happens to many here. Rushing water tears the unfortunate ones apart, delighting the fish. But the real tragedy starts when billions of tiny hatchlings start moving back into the forest, repeating the winding path of their parents. Here the yellow crazy ants have a field day, destroying the little crabs in droves, filling up their larders. Lucky for the crabs, there's so many that a great number manage to cross the ant territories. A crab carpet covers everything in its path. They're simply everywhere. The world is a dangerous place if you're very small. Many don't make it home, but life at home isn't much better. It's not exactly rainbows and sunshine. You see, parents don't mind munching on their young, so the baby crabs have to spend 5 years in the forest hiding from adults, feeding and growing. Then they'll return to the sea and release their own eggs. Now we move to the Amazon jungle. This monkey-like arachnid is taking a risk coming to the ground because a jag might eat it. It really wants a chunk of soil, but a sudden noise from the foliage sends the monkey scrambling up the trees. It's false alarm, just wild boar, but our arachnid managed to snatch some soil. What does she need it for? Of course, to eat. What else would you do with soil? Brave one, eh?
These monkeys get rewarded. They can eat lots of soil like elephants in wild Thai locations. No need to risk for soil, nobody will bother them. Elephants loosen soil and put big chunks in their mouths. If you remember, I once told about birds loving to eat soil. All these animals eat it for the minerals, which are in clay in large amounts. Plants have very few minerals, so they can't get all they need. That's why many animals end up eating soil. On the west coast of North America, you can see strange animals called acorn barnacles. During low tide, they lock themselves in, protected by a ring of armored plates. When water covers them, they release their feathery legs to catch plankton and breathe from the water. These crab-like creatures are glued down, can't move, but that doesn't stop them from mating. These weird animals have incredibly huge reproductive organs, the longest in comparison to body size. Their sexual organ is 8 times longer than the mollusk itself. Guess what's happening here? One shark trying to eat the other? Nope, it's just a male shark trying to mate with the female. Mating is very painful for the female. She gets scars after. Amazing she doesn't die. Well, that's all for me. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel.